Let me just start out while I'm in the testing phase by saying, Gary, I saw your video. Your video replied to my space fabric section of my last video.
Hello.
I guess it's working. So, I've decided to reply to you. I have two replies, really just one. But I've decided to separate out the scientific aspect and make an illusions exist number 50 episode. So, new people just watching now, welcome. You're my favorite viewers. And let me just tell you that my debates with Gary and Menham go back quite a while. Right, the first time Gary ever blocked me, and it's been many times since then, was because I was explaining that you can't go twice the speed of light, and you can't even seem to go twice the speed of light, and he thought that was unfair at the time. Though at the time he claimed, hey, I made an honest mistake. Since then, it turns out he didn't make a mistake at all, evidently, according to him. All right, Gary, this is more about space being a fabric. Now, the fabric, it's a foam in the sense that we're inside it. And I'll get to how that could possibly be. What could be inside a foam? Well, just a weird part of the foam, right? Okay, so in the beginning, the way it was, and the way it seems to be, and I could jump ahead to number 3 here. Maybe number 3 is actually the first issue. Why waves? Well, and the answer is because you guys all have particles, whether it's David DeHilster or you, whether it's red particles go through blue particles or whatever. There's always these particles have to be just slipping through each other some percentage of the time. Right? It just has to be. Well, if particles are going through each other, even one time in one special situation, that's what implies they're waves. Because water waves, which is a very common experience that we have, travel through each other and then keep on going. If a particle goes through another particle and keeps on going, that's evidence that it's a wave. All right, so here's the situation that seems to be the case. And again, new viewers. Um, I also believe in theorizing about natural philosophy. I just believe in sticking with the data that we have so far, including scientific aspects of society, right? So scientific results matter. I will go beyond those. I'm making interpretations of those. Plenty of room to make a mistake. I'm just honest. I'm just going to say what it's how it seems like to me. So it seems like there was a bunch of vacuum, and that's all there really is, except there's also disturbances on the vacuum. The vacuum is in motion, things are happening in it. The space, what I'm calling the vacuum, is also called space. And there's disturbances in it. Now, space is made of all the different fields. There's many threads in space. The threads holding the fabric of space together are little particles, little force carrier particles, and that travel through. You could always say that time is the thread, but it's the particle making an arc that's holding the universe in terms of space, that's holding space together. And all there is space and a lot of energy, a lot of disturbances. Now, when you have water waves crossing each other, they'll, if two waves are going like this, and then when they cross, they go up twice as high. Now, if they're very strong waves, as they crest and cross, they'll spit drops of water, balls of water, out into the air. And what's going on there? Well, the waves, when they combined, was too strong for the medium, the water. Now, in space, it's three-dimensional, just like underneath the water is three-dimensional, and the wave is traveling along. What if the energy of the wave is so strong it overcomes the strength of, whatever space's surface tension? It also creates a bubble. And what it seems like is that when the energy is too great and it creates this bubble, it inverts space. It creates a little kink in space that becomes a proton or an electron or a neutron. It actually becomes quarks that, if they're close to other quarks, can become those particles. Those particles are then inversions in space, little clamps, little hernias in space. And over time, they'll decay. If you just leave a proton in space, flying through space, it has a long half-life, but eventually it'll decay back into energy and the kink will get unraveled. But while the kink is there, it's a lock. That's what makes mass, and it causes a stretch on the space-time around it. Now you could ask, if the particle is a kink in space-time, how can it move around? How can it move in the foam? Space-time is a foam. It stretches the foam and all that. How does it move around? Well, it's just like a kink in a piece of chain. You can roll that kink along. You can roll it back. And that's the mass. Mass is space that's been broken, basically, and inverted so that it's mass, and it causes a clamp, and it grabbing and containing the space around it, limiting it, creating a little dense space where energy has suddenly become a hard particulate thing, and then around it a relative vacuum. So it's not a vacuum, but a relative low pressure area. And an object in a high pressure area will move towards the low pressure area, just like all physics you've ever heard of. And so that's what's going on. How do we move in this foam? Well, it's in three dimensions. You've got a kink, it's in three dimensions, but it can roll along. It's actually rolling in space from in front of it and rolling out space and behind it. It's a translation process. It's like when dominoes fall too. Tink, 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 tink. You see that where's the particle? It's the currently falling domino. It's another metaphor for it. And when you have a kink in a jewelry chain, you can roll that kink along and back. And it looks like a kink, but really it's different parts of the chain depending where you move it. That's how physics works. All of these little electrical threads, these little strong nuclear force threads, these weak nuclear force threads, whatever the basic threads of energy turn out to be in the quantum space, those are the elements that allow translation from one position into the next position, whether it be your mass, your charge, or anything else transitioning. Easy peasy. Now you understand. Now you understand. Now I expect you will never disagree with my positions again, because I have described them so clearly. Thank you.